So I want to welcome you to the quarterly supervisors meeting. This is the first one of this new year, 2025. Pretty amazing to say we're in 2025. 25 years already in this century. So that's exciting. So this morning, what we're going to talk about, as I always do, we'll open it up for questions. We'll do some introductions. And then go through my important guiding principles. But we want to give you a quarterly financial report. We want to do public safety report, and these things are just fresh. They were presented to the city council on last evening. And we want to talk about the fire service fee study so that our employees will understand what that is all about. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the fire district agreement because in the last month or so, or since December, unless you've been living underneath the rock, the fire district agreement has been in the news quite a bit. So we want to talk a little bit about that. We have good news with Bryant Landing. And so we want to share just an update on Bryant Landing. Then we just want to give everybody just an update on housing units that are occurring in our city at this time. I think are good things because we have a scarcity of housing, and hopefully, as we can get more of these units online, it'll have an impact on cost. We will have a presentation by Director of Human Resources on a number of items, and then we'll do the Athenian oath, and then we will adjourn. And so we'll jump right into our agenda. Now, if we can go back, just want to see if anyone has any questions just at the outset, anything that might be burning on your heart that you just want to ask before we get into the presentation. Because I know a lot of times as we move forward with our presentations, if we wait till the end, sometimes y'all will be sick of us by that time, and you just want to go. So does anyone have any questions that you might want to ask, no matter what it is? No matter what it is. So we're going to move on to any introductions. Anybody attending for the first time? Anybody recently promoted? First time attendees. We have a conflict with another meeting going on in Pembroke. We did just recently hire a new senior planner. Her name is Monica Gann. Monica started Monday. So y'all will get a chance to meet Monica at some city event. Or she's walked around City Hall and met folks. But last year during the budget, because of all the development that we have going on, we felt like we needed to add some additional resources in the planning department. So it took us a while to find what we think is the right person. And so we're happy to be able to bring Monica on board. Monica has she has one young person that's attending Georgia Southern. And so if y'all see Monica around, please welcome her to the city of Statesboro. And I don't know if Steve Hotchkiss is on the call. Last week we did. Steve announced that he plans to retire, and so I'm sure maybe we'll have another one of these before he actually does retire. I appreciate Steve. Steve has been with the city for 35 years. He's a wealth of knowledge and shares a lot when we're together at our leadership retreat. And so we appreciate his leadership of the Public Utilities Department and just the wealth of knowledge that he shares and brings from the gas to water and sewer. But we want to appreciate him for his service and just call him out before this group as well. But we'll have another opportunity. I'm sure Matt and them will have something really great planned for Steve if he doesn't kill him first, to recognize him for his many years of service to the city of Statesboro. So we appreciate him. Are there any other retirees that y'all know about that I might not be aware of? Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's jump right into every time we come to these meetings. First thing before I talk about the important guiding principles, I always say it doesn't cost us anything to thank you for the work you do each and every day. Although we might not have 75 people on this call, I still want to say thank you to each and every city employee in the city of Statesboro. Um, it is important to know that we don't make any products. So our most valuable resource are our employees. So I want to thank you for that work that you do each and every day. The last year has been really tough. When we think about, I can't remember them all, but Debbie and Helene, the cleanup after Helene. Helene came in on like September 26th, and we were still dealing with the aftermath of Helene going into January of 2025. So we want to thank you for what you do each and every day. The public safety employees, police were doing Helene, were out. Babies don't care whether it's a hurricane or what. Some of our police officers were involved in trying to help a lady to get to the hospital to deliver a baby during Hurricane Helene. During Debbie, Tropical Storm Debbie, I know the fire department was out helping people whose properties were flooded. So those things a lot of people might not see, but we recognize the importance of all the work that our employees do each and every day. So thank you for what you do. Now, I always like to remind you of those important guiding principles when we get together. And the first thing we always talk about is providing excellent public service. And I say, no matter what service, what area that you work in, we always strive to provide excellent public service. If you're a ditch digger, you want to be the best ditch digger that you can be. If you're just simply weed eating, that is still an important task because some citizens will determine whether they appreciate our city by the way you do your work. If you're in public safety or the police and fire, those are more the ones that folks tend to recognize more. But again, the services that they provide, they're providing excellent public service. And you'll see from some of Chief's reports, the excellent work that they're doing in the fire department when they're going out putting up smoke detectors in people's homes. Again, excellent public service. The water that we provide each and every day. That's excellent public service. So our goal is to provide excellent public service. And despite last evening, we had a citizen that said they didn't trust the city of Statesboro, but I don't know about their experience. But my experience and most of the experiences that I hear from our customers, they are typically raving about the services that we provide. Doesn't mean we won't make a mistake because all of us are human and we're prone to make mistakes. But our goal is to always provide excellent public service. Then the other thing is we want to provide excellent customer service. When we talk about excellent customer service, again, you have two different groups of customers. First, you have internal customers. Those are your coworkers, your peers, and how we treat each other. We still have to provide excellent customer service to the people internally. And I always say, if you're sniping and griping at each other, chances are that will carry over to when you're dealing with the external customers. If you're having a bad day, your coworker's having a bad day, then chances are when you get to meet that external customer, you transfer that over to providing a bad experience for our customers. We're not trying to provide a bad experience for our customers. We're trying to provide excellent customer service so that people can say, we had a great experience with the city of Statesboro. Even if we have to turn off people's water or gas, we should do it with a smile. and we don't have to argue and be gruff with them. Sometimes people run into tough situations and they're unable to pay their utility bills. But again, we need to provide excellent customer service no matter the situation. And then the last one we always talk about is being innovation. When we talk about innovation, sometimes we think about the latest and greatest toy. But innovation is, to me, is simply our employees identifying a step that might be removed to make a process more efficient. What we don't want to do is we don't want to sacrifice safety in the name of efficiency and then end up getting somebody hurt. But what we want to do, we want to be innovative with each and everything that we do. And so those are the three guiding principles that I like to just stress every time we get together. And so at this point, we're going to transition and we're going to call on our Director of Finance to go over the FY25 second quarter financial update. Ms. Cindy West.
Morning. So this will be the report for ending December 31st, 2024. For general fund revenues, you can see that we're about $2 million collected more than we did this time last year. So we've collected 69% of our revenues for the year. For our expenditures, we're about $2 million more than we were this time last year. We've spent about 51% of our budget. And in the Statesboro Fire Service Fund, we're $700,000 more in revenues than we were this time last year. We've collected 33%. We haven't received our money from the county yet for the 5 Mile District. That we don't normally receive that until December or March. We have expended 50%, almost 50% of the budget in the Statesboro Fire Fund. And the Water Sewer Fund revenues were about $500,000 more than this time last year. We've collected 44% of the budget. We've spent 50% of the budget in the Water Sewer Fund. That is up about $700,000 more than this time last year. With the stormwater revenues, we are down in revenues, but that's mainly due to the fact that we haven't asked for reimbursement from a grant. We haven't spent the money, therefore we haven't asked for it. So we've only collected 20% of our budgeted revenues. With our expenditures, we're about $100,000 more than this time last year, 55% of our budget through December 31st, 2024. Natural gas fund is $300,000 more than this time last year. We've collected 39% of the budget. We've spent 42% of the budget for the natural gas fund, very close to where we were in December of 2023. The solid waste collection revenue is basically flat. We've collected 50% of that budget. We've spent 51%, $400,000 more than the prior year. The solid waste disposal fund is $200,000 more in revenues than the previous year, 49% collected. The solid waste disposal expenditures, about $300,000 more than the previous year, 52% of our expended budget. With our SPLOST, this is our 2019 SPLOST. You can see with the yellow that the line we've collected over 1.6 million. This is actually, through December. You can see that in November there was a spike. In December it came back down. Follows a little bit of the trend that it did the prior year. T-SPLOST is going to be the same. We had a spike in November, and collections were down in December. And then with our hotel motel revenue, we've collected over $100,000 more from the same period of July 2024 to December 2024, and that is following kind of the same trend as the previous year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cindy. Next up, we're going to have our chief of police is going to come and give his annual report. But before Chief comes, I do just want to take a point of personal privilege to, one, congratulate Chief Mike Broadhead and Chief Tim Grams. They were our chair and co-chair for the annual United Way campaign. Last evening at the city council meeting, Carrie Cassidy and the chairman of her board, Chris Wiggins, came and presented a plaque to our city and to Chief Mike and Chief Tim. And this is pretty phenomenal. The city of Statesboro was the leading giver in Bullock County for this year, for last year, for the United Way campaign. So I want to congratulate Chief Mike and Chief Tim, but I also want to congratulate our city employees. Because again, when we talk about excellent public service, it's the work you do, but it's also about caring about your community. Now, so last night when Carrie presented the award, first point is we raised over $50,000. The year before, we were just about $38,000. So we went up over $12,000 from last year to this year. So congratulate you on that. But then the other point is that there's still room for growth with our campaign. That $50,000 was raised from 188 city employees. We have 335 employees. But again, just remember, we don't force anybody to give. You give because you want to. At church, they always tell you the Lord loves a cheerful giver. And in the city of Statesboro, we love a cheerful giver as well. But we still have room to grow. But congratulations to Chief Mike and Chief Tim on outstanding leadership for the United Way campaign.
Morning, everybody. I do appreciate Mr. Charles' kind words, but that really is you guys. I didn't give $50,000. You all gave $50,000. So we appreciate the help. But Lane and Demetrius were also actively involved in trying to help people understand where that money is going to go, and thus people could give from that. So I appreciate everybody's help on that. This is just a quick recap of our 2024 year in review. So as you can see on this graph, one of the things I like to do when we look at statistics is that we really have to look at them longitudinally, right, over a period of time. And I like to use at least a decade because you can sort of see trends. Our numbers generally are so few, and we're talking about 50 crimes of one kind or 55 crimes of something. Year to year, that can be a huge variance that doesn't really reflect what's going on necessarily. So if you look at that dark blue line along the bottom, that's annual homicides. We generally do around 3 homicides a year. 2020, we bounced all the way up to 9, but I think we could all agree 2020 was a very strange year. A lot of anxiety in the community that I think led to some of that. This robbery number, which is the red line, I'm really happy to see that that's been trending down generally for the last 7-8 years, which is good because robbery is a violent crime. And then if you look at the top, the aggravated assault and battery, that really is any time that someone has been injured seriously, or they have had somebody used a weapon against them, they'd be the victim of an ag assault or battery. And you can see, like in 2020, that's one of those statistical anomalies that it's really hard to explain why we had a 46% drop or 45% drop in ag assaults in one year, and then the next year it sort of went back up. So could be that we just had the right 1 or 2 people in jail that probably would have committed a bunch of crimes had they not be locked up at that time. But if we could figure that piece out, we'd bottle it and sell it, right? Property crime, really happy to see. So theft, we lump both larcenies and shoplifting into that number. So that's been on a relatively steady decline for the last 10 years. And also burglaries. Our general burglary for us oftentimes is not somebody sneaking into somebody's house, but a roommate kicking in a roommate's door in a shared apartment and stealing their PlayStation. Tends to be the general sort of burglary that we have in the city. Training is a priority at our police department. You can see that over 14,000 total hours. But the real picture, I think, to take from this graph is that our sworn officer average of training last year was 173 hours, and the state requirement's only 20. So we're well in advance of what the state's minimum requirements are. And in fact, our non-sworn folks averaged over 24 hours each throughout the year. We started a program about 18 months ago called Roadway Assist. We staff this with college interns, and they have a marked pickup truck. It doesn't look like a police car, and they go out and help people that are stranded on the roadside, flat tires, run out of gas, etc. They also handle the majority of our private property crashes when they're working, and they also assist the officers by directing traffic around public property crashes. And while this is relevant, is that frees up an officer's time to go do something else. And so 2,200 times we were able to replace a police officer with an intern for some task, and really freed those officers up to stay in their zones and work more crime-related kind of things. We track our use of force. For us, a use of force report is required anytime that we use an intermediate weapon to make an arrest, like a taser, pepper spray, obviously a firearm, or also if we cause an injury to someone or they complain of injury. So if we take somebody to the ground to handcuff them and they get a bloody nose, that gets tracked in this. And so I'm really proud to say that, of the 1,600 plus arrests last year, we only had 14 incidents that required an officer to use some level of force to take them into custody or to overcome their resistance. Over the last several years, you can see the last almost 11,000 arrests, that has tracked pretty good at less than 1% of those incidents required the use of some kind of force. Patrol statistics are officers, the uniformed officers that are out handling calls. You see, they handled over 45,000 calls last year. I think we average around 125 to 130 calls a day, every day. 4,300 citations, 1,400 arrests, and then 1,500 public property crashes that were investigated. At the bottom of it on the left, you can see what we wrote tickets for. Speeding was the number one citation, but again, out of 4,300 citations, less than 500 of those were for speeding. If you look at the graph on the right, you can kind of see over the last several years, warnings have much outpaced citations, and you can see arrests have been going up a little bit, and crashes have actually been going down a little bit. We've made a concerted effort to try to reduce traffic crashes. There's a couple of ways you can do that. One, you can try to reduce the volume of crashes. Many times crashes are caused by too much volume or an engineering problem at an intersection. But what we can do is we can reduce the how bad the accident is by trying to decrease people's speed coming into high crash locations. So we track those locations every year. Fair and the bypass is our number one crash location. You can see last year we investigated 135 crashes there. There's just a lot of volume going into that intersection. And if you are what's essentially south end westbound and you make that right-hand turn onto Fair Road to head like towards the hospital, a lot of those crashes are rear end crashes because the way that engineering is set up, if you go out there and drive that intersection, or if you're familiar with it, the run-up lane is not sufficient for people that are merging that direction onto Fair Road. And so people, they expect to have a normal run-up lane. They're looking over their shoulder. The oncoming traffic is blocked by other parked traffic. And then the people behind them coming along can see up the road better. They see that it's clear. And then when they turn back and look, the guy in front of them has stopped to try to clear the way, and they crash into the rear of them. I think we could fix that. A tremendous amount of those crashes could be eliminated with some better engineering there. Precision policing is one of the projects that we've taken on to just try to help us gain evidence. And you can see Fusus is a video sharing platform where individuals, private businesses, or locations give us access to their video feed. And we also have these tag readers out that are just tracking tags that drive by. You can see in 2024, we recovered 20 stolen vehicles through the use of the tag readers, and about 47 felony arrests last year that we can tie evidence that we obtained directly back to either Fusus or Flock tag readers. And you can see we have these gunshot detection sensors out around that really just alerts the officers. So these patrol cars have become spaceships. I mean, they have the ability within their car to watch private video at private businesses. So if we get an alarm at a location, they can pull up the cameras and look at that before they ever drive there. They're getting gunshot detection notifications in their car while they're driving, so that we don't have to wait for a 911 call. We can start heading toward gunshots when they happen. We provide a tremendous amount of records out the door, including video. We shoot body camera of just about all of our interactions. We have dash cam video of most of our driving, and everybody wants to see a piece of that, right? So some of those are for active investigations, but we also, provide insurance companies and attorneys with crash reports. And you can see that about 4,300 reports went out the door last year. So in January of 2024, we took on dispatching for the fire department as well as the police department. And you can see that that caused us an increase in workload. We handled just under 1,500 fire calls through dispatch, and then those 45,000 police calls. So the dispatchers stay quite busy in there. About 46,000, almost 47,000 calls that they handled. And it's a very difficult job. I can't even go in there because you try to have a conversation with somebody and the phone literally never stops ringing while you're trying to have a conversation. So kudos to the ladies that work in there. And as we have, thank you. If you have any questions, we can just ask them at the end and we'll answer them.
Next, we're going to have Chief Tim is going to come and talk about the fire department. And after he talks about the fire department, and he's also going to talk about the fire service fee study that is going on, I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about the fire district agreement.
Okay. Good morning. So lead off with accomplishments, some pretty big ones that we were able to complete in last year. We were able to complete our renovations of Station 2. We have started construction, additional training facilities out at the Public Safety Training Center out on 301 North. We have acquired property for a third fire station, which is huge. That project has been in the capital project for many, many years, actually, even before I assumed the position of fire chief. So we're really excited about getting started on that project. Council also approved the purchase of 2 new aerial apparatus. We actually have a group up in Ohio this week doing the final on the platform and the pre-construction review on the Quint. So we should see the platform mid to late next month. We also introduced a peer counseling program to the department's health and wellness program. The health and wellness program is a program that's near and dear to my heart, and Chief Kearns does a great job making sure that we bolster that program every year. We tried to add something to it, so that's what we were able to do. Also received about $3.2 million in grant funding in 2024. So again, just supplemental funding that takes care of a lot of our projects that otherwise would have to come out of tax dollars. General overview of our operations. So we had a total calls for service, 1,545. 1,091 of those were in the city, roughly 70%. 398 were in the fire district. I think that worked out to about 26%. And then 56 were outside of our primary response area, which includes automatic aid and mutual aid. There was 56 of those, which account for about 4%. Our average response time was 6 minutes and 8 seconds. Our average on scene time was about 20 minutes. We had about 20% of the calls were overlapping, 314. That number has been trending up over the last several years. But again, as we grow and add additional staff, we're hoping to see that number come down. And then the last one is the investigations, 10. We do a cause and determination at every structure fire, but this number is actual arson investigations that were conducted. Here's just a breakdown of our calls for service by incident and service type. I'm not going to go into each one of those, but again, as usual, our biggest volume comes from alarms. That's no surprise. We are seeing a slight trend down in that number, but again, still the biggest piece of the pie. This is just a visual of kind of where our heat map or where our busiest points were for 2024. Again, just another different visual for the call breakdown. Again, the blue representing calls in the city, red in the 5 Mile district, and the yellow is outside the district. This is a graph that kind of shows each of the council districts so that they can see kind of, what our activity is in their individual districts. Our fire-related property loss. So again, this is based on pre-incident assessed value was 4.3%, which is really, really good. And this next graph should be a little bit better of a representation. So on the top, you have the pre-incident property value. We gather that information off the Bullitt County Tax Assessor's website, and then calculate roughly the percentage of damage of the incident. So that second line is the number or the dollars, estimated dollars saved, and then the property loss is that last one. So again, when you compare those numbers, it's pretty remarkable job our folks do at saving property. The training, again, the biggest thing to note is we had about 19,500 total training hours in 2024. This breakdown just basically shows the different categories. All of them, with the exception of the last one, the other category, are ISO categories. And again, the first column is the required for us to receive full credit when we go through an ISO evaluation. And then the second column is our average per firefighter in the department. So again, training is a focus for us in the department. Prevention division, fire inspections and compliance. So again, our guys do a great job. Did over 1,000 annual fire inspections in 2024. Again, the re-inspections was 24% of the total productivity. That's slightly down. So again, some of those programs and things that we've tried to put in place to reduce the times and the numbers that we're having to go out and do re-inspections, is starting to trend down, which is good for us. Community risk reduction. So again, several years ago, ISO added an additional category that they score fire departments on, and it's basically the proactive things that department is doing to try to prevent fires. These numbers are just associated with that community risk reduction portion. So direct interactions, almost 4,000 groups, 56 smoke detectors installed in both the city and the 5 Mile District, had over 1,300 contacts through school visits and 2,400 through community events. And then we conducted 63 station tours in 2024. Try to stay pretty active in the community. We participated in numerous events, including the Firecracker Fest, Camp Brad, which is a youth camp for children with disabilities out at Georgia Southern. We also continued our partnership with the Therapy Spot, assembling specialized mobility bikes for special needs children. And then the last couple of years, we've gotten the Up in Flames program out at GSU back up and going, which is a pretty successful event where we are able to demonstrate to college students how quickly fire can spread in a dorm room. Moving forward, obviously, I've already mentioned the new aerial apparatus is expected next month. We have started the process to begin the construction of Station 3. Again, that location is on Brandon Street, right behind Lowe's. The bid packet has been sent out, so we're excited about that project. As Mr. Penny mentioned, we're starting the work with the consultants on the study of the feasibility of implementing a fire service fee, and I'll go into exactly what that means here in just a minute. And then we're going to, obviously, as we do each year, we're going to continue to evaluate departmental services and processes, procedures, and programs to ensure that we maintain excellent service delivery. Okay, so the fire service fee, this is the presentation that I gave to council, I think at the last work session, not the one last night, but the previous one. And it's just a general overview of what it is and why we're looking at it. So a fire service fee is a mechanism that's utilized to fund the cost of fire protection services. This has been looked at by many fire departments. There's been multiple within cities and counties within Georgia that have actually implemented some version of this. It's sometimes referred to as a fire protection fee, fire service fee, public safety fee. There's different terms, but they all mean the same thing. It's basically some form of fee that is charged rather than the fire service being funded through property tax only. It's important to remember that even if a property does not generate a call for service from the fire department, that property still receives benefits from the available fire services that protect it. Things such as the reduced risk to life and property, increased value and marketability of the property, and then obviously the biggest thing that I think everybody's kind of familiar with is the reduced insurance premiums through your ISO public protection classification, which Statesboro is currently a class 2. The reason that I have supported looking at this is it's a much more equitable way to fund the fire service since the fee can be applied to all users of the service and including tax exempt properties. Currently, tax exempt properties contribute nothing to fire protection. And whether people realize it or not, Statesboro has a tremendous amount of tax exempt property. These include things such as churches, schools, government buildings. So there's a lot of property that does not contribute any funding, but receive all the benefits and the same service delivery that we give to everyone else that do pay property tax. It's a stable funding source that does not fluctuate with the market volatility. It allows general fund revenues previously spent to be reallocated to different areas of the budget, and or it may allow for council to do a millage rollback to save a little bit on the property tax side. It also helps support long-term financial planning and debt services for operational capital expenditures. Here's a list of just some local governments within Georgia that have adopted some form of a fire fee. Where we're at is we have council did approve a contract with GMC, which is the consulting group that we're working with. We have already started to send them some of the data that they need to start looking at this and putting the study together. Things that they're going to collect is obviously data related to our actual operations. They're going to help us determine cost of services. Analyze future service needs such as additional fire station locations, apparatus, and then also look at the growth in population projections, which we all know is not going to do anything but keep going up. So again, we're going to look at all the properties, identify those properties that are currently tax exempt and kind of what kind of impact that may have, a fee may have. And then, the risk, which is very similar to what ISO does, looking at the type of property, the use of that property and the risk that it poses for the community. And then just really the bottom line is there's no guarantee this is the right step. It very well could be that they come back and say that this is not something that is suitable for the city of Statesboro. But I do feel like it's a good thing and it's justified for us at least to explore that with the amount of tax exempt property that exists within the city. Thank you.
I'm just going to go step back. I wanted to take a minute before we go to the next item. And I just want to mention the fire district agreement. There's been a lot of publicity in the media and on Facebook about the fire district agreement. First, let's just be clear. The city of Statesboro, it's been our honor and privilege for more than 47 years to provide fire protection in the fire district. And that's according to the budget book for Bullock County from 2022 and 2023. So more than 47 years we provide that service in the fire district. The fire district itself is 96 square miles. The city of Statesboro is 16.1 miles of that 96 square miles. So 83% of the fire district is serviced by the City of Statesboro Fire Department. They provide funding for equivalent to 30% of the cost of our fire budget. Fire budget is about $7 million. This year, we expect to receive $2.3 million from Bullock County. And in exchange for that $2.3 million, we provide Class 2 fire service in the fire district. So what does that mean? We treat the fire district just like it's City of Statesboro. And we roll and protect their properties. And so, again, we believe we're providing excellent public service to the fire district. And so we had a 5-year agreement with Bullock County. And that 5-year agreement had an automatic renewal. And so the agreement would expire at the end of June of 2025. So at the meeting on December 3rd of the Bullock County Commissioners, the county attorney placed this item on the agenda, which it was his obligation to do, because if he did not bring it forward to the county commissioners and it automatically renewed, they could have come back to the county attorney and say, why didn't you tell us that? So Jeff Akins didn't do anything wrong. He was fulfilling his duty as a good county attorney. But at that meeting, the county commissioners voted unanimously to cancel the agreement on July 1, 2025. They then notified me that it was going to be canceled. And we responded by simply saying to them that we accepted their decision. And so that on July 1, 2025, the fire district would be the responsibility of Bullock County. And then we got an email back and said, that's not what we meant. What we really wanted to do was negotiate. And so they came back and so at a meeting on January 30th, their proposal was to split the district. They take the northern part of the district, we take the bottom portion of the district, then they would reduce the funding to the city from 2.3 million to 40% of that, something like 1.4, and they would take the other revenue. And then they take over 60% of the revenue. All of this was in an interest for them to be able to build up their fire services in the county, which we support. We want them to build up their operations. But the important thing is the $2.3 million helps pay for our employee salaries and it helps pay for our operations. So I said a lot about the fire district agreement. Where we are right now, first thing I want to be very clear about, our employees do not need to be worried about whether you're going to have a job. The city council is committed to ensure our employees are held harmless. And so I don't want anybody to lose sleep over whether you're going to have a job or not. We are going to provide to ensure we need all of it. We've increased our firefighters from 48 in 2019 to 69 full-time certified firefighters. And then we have part-time firefighters. We need you. We need you just to protect the city of Statesboro. And the fire district was benefiting from us having excellent fire department. And so what we would recommend, we did offer a counter proposal last night to the county that we would serve the fire district one more year under the current agreement. We don't want to split the district. We'll serve them one more year, and that would give them another year to be able to transition. Along with their decision, their recommendation to split the district, they wanted to make sure that automatic aid was in place. And I will simply say to you, automatic aid in the fire district would simply mean the city of Statesboro would still be covering the whole district. There's no, that's the only way I see it. but that would give them time, but it would reduce our funding. And so we made the counter proposal, and I don't know what they'll do with it. We wish Bullock County the best. Again, we want them to have an excellent fire department, and if the agreement goes away, I do recommend the automatic aid goes away as well. We will provide mutual aid in the fire district and in the county. Right now, our fire department responds in the fire district, and we respond beyond the fire district as a part of automatic aid. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. We don't want to see anybody lose any property. But again, the fire district is the responsibility of Bullock County. And again, we've been honored to have served them for more than 47 years. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Chief Tim. Feel free to reach out to me, and we're going to do the best that we can for the city of Statesboro. Fire agreement goes away. Our primary responsibility, as it still is today, is to provide that excellent fire protection inside the city limits of Statesboro. Moving on, let's talk about Bryant Landing. If any of you have been by the old Julia P. Bryant Elementary School on Stockyard Road, it's transformed. And just phase one of Bryant Landing, it's about a $9 million project. And you see 51 new apartments at Bryant Landing. So I don't have a colorful elevation, but what's on the screen now are just some renderings of what is actually on the ground. So on Stockyard, and I think it's Donnie Simmons Way, they put up new wrought iron fence. Our plan is to tour this facility by the end of this month. And we'll extend that to our council and to the leadership team to have a chance to go through there and look around. I'm sure they will have open house at some point. They have over 300 people on the waiting list for these 51 units. And so we're excited about them building new units, but then they took the old part of the school and they've actually made 1-bedroom apartments in some of the old wings at Julia P. Bryant School. They took the old cafeteria, created a meeting room, and they've also added, I think, about 4 or 5 apartments in that section as well. So we're excited about that. But then they've already been approved for low-income tax credits for phase 2. And this is just an elevation. If you go down Donnie Simmons Way, and I think it's Foss Street, you'll see this is what's going to go there, and 50 more units. Now, with this, phase 1 was for seniors. This phase is for families. But what Bill Gross tells us is that when phase 2 is completed, which we expect to see construction start sometime this year, some seniors will go in phase 2 as well. I'm sure they wouldn't want to be going up and down stairs, but so we're going to have 50 more units there, and hopefully sometime in 2026. This phase will be open. In addition to this one, Bill Gross is now talking about phase 3. They still have more land where the old football field and the stadium was, where they could actually build 50 more units. So potentially 150 units of housing at the old Julia P. Bryant Elementary School. Just wanted to update you on that. So that's another shot of the second phase of that project. So just wanted to give you more housing updates. At this time, we have approval of over 45 units of development, including single family, detached, townhomes, and apartments. This is big news for Statesboro. July will have been here 6 years. When I got here, we weren't seeing very much development inside the city. Times have changed. The last 2 years have been busy. I can't, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. But Hyundai is a big driver for what we're seeing and just the demand for housing in our community. So we got 45 units, 4,500 units in development. We have active construction on 18 subdivisions, which are approximately 1,970 units. The recently completed development of regional impact shows the potential that there's another potential for 1,650 additional units in the old Register Road area, the TAD. And so if those come forward, we could actually see approval of over 6,000 units of new housing in Statesboro. And then there's one that's not even on this list, out Cypress Lakes Road. I think it's the Olive Track. And if that one comes forward, that's a potential for another 1,600 units. So that, if you added that, we don't have almost 8,000 units of housing inside the city limits of Statesboro. Why do people want to build inside the city limits of Statesboro? Our infrastructure, the water, the sewer, is really important. And that's what's driving development inside the city limits of Statesboro. So we appreciate people wanting to be in Statesboro. It's a great place to live, work, and play. Let me call on Demetrius Bynes to give a human resource update.
Good morning, everyone. The items that I will cover this morning are listed on your screen, so I will proceed accordingly. I am excited to make a formal announcement that the city has secured an expanded employee assistance program for our employees and their families. It's through Support Link, and I'm going to give you just a few tidbits of information about Support Link, and then we will follow up with additional information to include a virtual webinar for supervisors and managers who wish to learn more about Support Link. And so, as we know, in our country, there is a lot of challenges related to mental health and other areas. And so the city has made an investment in our employees by purchasing this agreement through Support Link, and it provides expanded EAP services for employees as well as your dependents. You will have 24/7 access to counselors. You will also be able to use technology for counseling sessions, whether you do face-to-face or other forms of virtual. You will even be able to text folks for support. And there's a lot of additional resources that are going to be provided to you. The bottom line is the city values its employees, and we want to put the resources in your hands so you're able to address those mental health concerns that you may have, as well as your family members. And so there's a lot that we could talk about related to Support Link, but for the sake of time, I won't do so. But again, my commitment is to follow up with a webinar for our managers and supervisors so you can learn more about this information, and we will get information out to each employee in the upcoming days. This is the telephone number for Support Link. Again, 24/7 access. If an employee or anyone in their household calls, someone is going to answer. The website is provided. I've already set up an account on the website as well as downloaded the app, and it's very useful. So it's going to be great for our employees. Next item I will cover is the Emerging Leaders Academy. On last year, the city reaffirmed its commitment to growing and developing our employees by implementing the Emerging Leaders Academy. This 6-session leadership development program provides additional leadership training to individuals who are identified as high potential employees in our organization. We completed the initial cohort in January of 2025, and we look to begin cohort 2 in April of 2025. And so you will receive an email about the Emerging Leaders Academy on next week. But please know that if you're interested, you will need to submit a letter indicating how the Academy will impact your career. And then your department head will need to support your letter. So that email will be sent out on the 24th, and the deadline to submit those letters to me will be Friday, March 7th. So great things going on related to growing our people. Next item. Most of you, if not all of you, have already received your job descriptions from your department head or supervisor. Please note that we're asking you to review those job descriptions. And if you wish to appeal any information that is included in the packet that has been provided to you, you must complete the classification appeal form. You will indicate your concerns on the form. Your supervisor will review your form, and your department head will review your form and provide feedback. The deadline to submit the form to Human Resources is Friday, February 28th. If a form is submitted to Human Resources, I will collaborate with Condry and Associates, who's the consultant for our compensation and classification programs. And we will review those forms, and then we will follow up with the city manager, and then the city manager will notify the employee and department head of his decision. Of course, if you have any questions, I apologize for not saying this earlier. If you have questions, you have access to the chat feature, and I will pause at the end so you can ask any questions that you may have. As it relates to performance management, we've recently implemented a new performance management system, and it's called NeoGov. We've provided training for supervisors. We've also provided training for employees face-to-face, as well as provided a video for the organization to review as it relates to the NeoGov system. The goal of the system is to automate the performance evaluation process. We want you to understand, as employees of this organization, that you have the ability to see your evaluation in the system. And employees, of course, are evaluated during their introductory period. That could be 6 months or 12 months based upon what type of position you're in. And employees are also evaluated during their anniversary month. The evaluation is in the system. However, we're still following the same process, which is that supervisors will meet face-to-face with their employees and review the performance. That gives the supervisors as well as the employee an opportunity to have a face-to-face conversation about performance. Performance is important to our organization. We cannot achieve organizational objectives without employees actually excelling in their roles in the organization. All employees, for annual evaluation purposes, are eligible for between a 2 to 4% pay increase based upon the performance evaluation. And as I mentioned earlier, the self-evaluation is available in NeoGov for the employee. It is not required. If you would like to evaluate yourself, you can evaluate yourself on the same competencies that your supervisor is evaluating you on. And as I mentioned earlier, once your evaluation is approved by your supervisor and department head, then you will meet with your direct supervisor and have a conversation about your annual performance evaluation. All right, we're moving right along. Many of you may have already received an email notifying you of this information. However, it is important for us to share it so that way we ensure everyone is aware. Everside Health, who is the vendor responsible for operating our health center, is now Marathon Health. So many of you would have received an email on last week providing those instructions. about Marathon Health. If you wish to set up or activate your account, you can do so through my.marathon.health. Note that your existing appointments as well as health records will be moved to the Marathon Health system, and you are encouraged to download the Marathon app. And you can download that through either app store you use. If you need technological support, you can reach out to Marathon Health's patient support, or you can visit Human Resources and we will assist you. As we continue to talk about health and wellness, we want to ensure everyone is aware that if you signed up for the wellness incentive for this calendar year, we have reduced the requirements. Any employee that signs up has to complete biometric screening as well as an annual physical by October 31st of 2025. If your spouse is covered by the city's health plan, your spouse must complete those requirements also. So you get $750 via payroll reductions, and you get a $50 gift card. So that's $800 for the biometric screening and the physical. If you have questions, of course, you can reach out to Human Resources. And of course, you know that the health center, Statesboro Health Center, that's our health center, is available to complete your physical there for you as well as your spouse. Just want to remind you that all employees have access to the health center. The hours are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. If your spouse and dependent children are covered by the city's health plan, they have access to the health center also. And this access is provided at no cost to you, the employee. So the hurdle to primary care has been eliminated and you have free access to the health center. City Gym. Want to remind you that the City Gym is still open 24/7 for employees and their dependents. If you need access to the gym, you can submit an IT request and IT will assist you with obtaining a key fob. We still provide complimentary services in the City Gym to include an athletic trainer as well as personal trainers. If there are any questions for me, feel free to use the chat feature or unmute yourself.
Demetrius, when are the $50 gift cards going to be distributed for the wellness incentive?
Sure. So the $50 gift cards are given to the employee once the employee completes his or her physical. And if they have their spouse on the plan, once the spouse completes the requirements. So once the employee completes those two requirements, the physical and lab draw, then they receive that gift card. And of course, the payroll reduction is processed over 26 checks. Any other questions?
Let's bring up everybody's on the call. Let's see if typically we do questions at the beginning, but just in case someone has heard something that has raised a question in your mind, we'll open up right now. If you have a question, whether it's for Demetrius or anyone that presented, give you one last opportunity if you have a question that you want to ask. Y'all are such a bashful group. Well, either we did a really great job.
We did a great job.
So I'm assuming we did a great job. I do want to just encourage you, based on the information that Demetrius shared. We just finished the Emerging Leaders Academy. And so I hope we're going to have, how many folks did we have in? 17. I hope we got another 17 that are interested in participating the next time. There's a time commitment, so department heads have to be willing to allow employees to participate. but the Emerging Leaders Academy is about development. Not only do we want our employees to come work for us, we also want them to experience growth in their abilities. And the only way to do that is to expose them to training and to push people out of their comfort level. And so Justin Taylor didn't know he was going to have to make a speech. You're shaking your head, Justin, right? You're shaking your head. He didn't know he was going to have to make a speech, but he got put on the spot. But that's okay, Justin. You did great. You did great. And that's what we want. At church, they tell you, I assume, I'm hoping most of you go to church, but at church, they tell you, you don't want a preacher that makes you comfortable. You want a preacher who's going to make you uncomfortable, because that's the only way we get better. And so with the city of Statesboro, for our employees, we want you to always be seeking to get better. We want you to want to move up. And so the Emerging Leaders Academy, or any of the training that we're providing to you, is to help you improve yourself, and it makes our organizations better. We have a top-notch organization, and it's a top-notch organization because of you. And so I hope we get to see 16 or 17 more, and we're going to call on Justin next time. He's going to tell us about what he learned and how he's applying that next time. Thank you, Justin, for letting me pick on you. Let's see, anything else? I did want, before we do the Athenian note, I did want to give a shout out for our employee clinic. As your city manager, that is a benefit, and your city manager uses the clinic. Back in January, I went to GMA conference, and I came back and I drove back. I didn't even tell my wife I was sick, and when I got home, I had a fever of 100 degrees, and the next morning we made contact with Octavia, and I went in. Man, they did all kinds of tests, and it wasn't fun. But to know I'd never been tested, I'd never tested positive for strep until about several months ago. I was sick and went. The in-office test said I didn't have it. They sent a culture off, and they put me on antibiotics, and that's important because strep is something that can get into your body, and it can affect different organs. It can end up in rheumatic fever, dealing with your heart, damage your heart. My wife had strep as a child, and it settled in her kidneys. And so those things, our clinic can help us with those kinds of things. So this is a valuable resource to our employees, to our dependents. And so I just want to give them a shout out because Octavia and them do a great job. So no matter what the name is, Everside or Marathon, and even before when we were under Premise Health, I think, they were doing a great job. So I just want to encourage us to take advantage of our clinic. So, y'all, we've been here about an hour and 15 minutes. And so I know y'all want to get back to work. And so every meeting we end with our Athenian oath. And so if you will, feel free to read along with me. But we will never bring disgrace on this, our city, by an act of dishonesty or cowardice. We will fight for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. We will revere and obey the city's laws, and will do our best to incite a like reverence and respect in those above us who are prone to annul them or set them at naught. We will strive unceasingly to quicken the public sense of civic duty. Thus, in all these ways, we will transmit this city not only, not less, but greater and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. And again, thus, in all these ways, we will transmit this city not only, not less, but greater and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. Again, thank you for what you do. Be safe out there. Have a great day, stay warm, and we'll see you the next time.